Can you hear me? Okay. How are
Can you hear
you?
me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry. I was having a hard time getting on. And that well you have to put a login code, right? So I'm all putting it and I put it right. Well, I think I put the 3 wrong the first time. So it wasn't recognizing it when I put it the second time. So I had to put in for a second one and then my dog's like nudging me and I'm like, "Can you just wait 1 minute?"
Yeah.
She's terrible. Well, because when I sit here, she thinks it's time to play fetch, and I'm like, it's not that time now. She's
Mm-hmm.
funny. She's all, it's always that time, Mom.
Right?
How are you? How was your
That's how
day?
my grandson is.
Papa, this mic.
Yes, that's yours.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, this is TJ. He's my grandson.
Neat.
Yeah.
I seen that you posted on the page. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna share it onto my other page also.
That is our participant focus flyer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Let me see if I can. Oh, there we go. My volume was all the way down. I said, "Am I going deaf or what just happened?" Well, like sometimes I don't know how it happens. I think when I put on my case, sometimes it does that, but sometimes I don't snap. But that happened to me the other day in the car, and I was like, "Oh, hello," no, because I didn't realize right away. But then I was like, "No, I think my volume's all the way down." And yeah, sure enough, was my volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we'll just because I don't have a set of questions, we're just gonna kind of flow off of what what we're talking about last time, and I wanted to talk about a little bit about the move. What did you think about the move? About how because they have been implementing that move for like 10 years. I don't know if you had heard about that. And because my aunt had done time at prison for like 15 years, when she got out almost before we moved, she was like, "Oh, they've been telling us that for 10 years. It's never gonna happen."
Yeah. All the girls, whenever I got out of RDC, were saying that to me. It's not going to happen. And then, sure thing, first bus, there I was.
That's crazy, right? Hey, um, how they organized everything, how they I don't know, how they did it. It was really, I don't know. I guess it was organized, but I felt like it was a little bit chaotic. What do you think?
Well, because I was on the first bus out, I didn't really see what was going on in the rest of the prison and CCA, but I can say that I just remember them waking us up like in the middle of the night. It was still dark outside and like chaining us to each other. And we were like, what's going on? We all thought we were in trouble or something was going on, because they only grabbed a certain amount of people and then like not the whole unit at a time, but like only called specific ones of us. And then they put us on the bus and we weren't even sure what was going on until we got about like halfway through. And then I can't remember what little town they stopped in, but they stopped somewhere to feed us lunch.
In Santa Fe, at the men's prison.
Yeah. Took us off the bus, fed us, put us back on, and then took us the rest of the way. And then whenever I got to Springer, they put me in Unit 8 right away. And they weren't done doing all their stuff that they have to do when you first come in, all the testing and all that stuff and booking, processing, all that stuff until like 9 that night. So it was like 4 a.m. to 9 that night. And then they finally gave me my bunk bed. And then like 3 hours later, this guard comes in at 3 o'clock in the morning. All right, listen up. If I call your name, that means that you have been randomly selected to work in the kitchen to start making breakfast. Guess who was on that list?
Your name?
My name. I was so tired.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is very interesting. train. I was on the second train. And for some reason, there was like a list of everybody going around, and they knew, like, they were like, oh, Rhiannon, you're on the second transport. And I'm all, how does anybody know that? You guys are lying. That's a lie. Sure enough, like at 3 in the morning, they're all Montoya. They call like 5 or 8 names, not all kinds of names, just a few. And they're pulling you out, and they're getting your well, I don't know. We don't go with our property. I think our property goes like on another bus. But they're shackling us. They're putting us. I had never been black boxed like that. I think that was one of the things that it freaked me out. I was all, what the heck is this? Where the hell are they sending us? Well, because first of all, it's in the middle of the night. I'm like, are they sending us to like a black ops prison so they could do like testing on us? Or, you know,
I was freaking out too.
You know
I was like, what did I do wrong?
Like, it's very scary. I was very a little bit traumatized. Hey, and then when you get to Springer, there's all kinds of cameras, and they're all like, you can't even, and you're like, we're wearing, when we left the facility, they gave us clothes that was not even ours. It was not even sized to fit us. I remember I was wearing like a medium shirt. It was smaller, medium, and it was all rolling up over here. and I'm all wearing high water pants, and I'm like, and they're all filming us on the A&E, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is happening right now. I'm all turning my face because like they were filming, you know, and you really couldn't get away from it because they were right there when you were getting off the bus. And oh my gosh, so they just came in and randomly said, okay, you guys are going to work in the kitchen.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, they're like, you guys have 45 minutes to get up and get ready for work. And I was like, so 4:30 in the morning, there I went into the kitchen. You got to think, I was in freaking RDC for 5 months doing nothing. And then all of a sudden they take me in the middle of the night. Then as soon as I get there, I'm resting. And then they call me into the kitchen. But seemed like, I don't know if they were like randomly selecting by numbers or what, but I was on the first list for everything. So I was on the first bus. I was the first one for randomly picked for the kitchen, but I was also first pick for moving into Unit 10 because once the buses started rolling in, I was only in Unit 8 for 2 days, and they were like, okay, bunk number, you're moving, pack up your stuff. So then the second day of working in the kitchen, they moved me into Unit 10. So I thought I was in trouble again.
Well, yeah, because that almost looks, it's SEG. That's what they have SEG, but it's not. It's level 1. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you kind of were like groundbreaking over there for the level 1s because you were a level 1, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really neat. Oh, that's neat. What do you think? Oh, because you didn't get to see like the different programming, right? Like
I didn't have the option to get in trouble not to be a level 1. They kept me in SEG the whole time until I got over there.
Yeah, right.
Yep. So even if I wanted to get in trouble, I couldn't. It was kind of crazy. But right away, probably like once the transport was over, so like a week later, when they kind of opened up the yard a little bit, was whenever I first met Chap. And I remember going up there and asking if I could be a pod porter up at the chapel. And he said that he was working on a list, that he was writing out a list of 12 names for the chapel, and he was going to turn it into Mr. Biddle because Mr. Biddle was the one that was doing the chronos. And when I went in there, because I was already in the kitchen, he was like, and he writes it out. You're going to be in the kitchen, 80 cents an hour. And I was like, actually, I'm on the list. The chaplain put me on the list to be a porter over there. And he scratched out the 80 and put 20 cents an hour. And I was like, okay, I'll take that.
I know it's a sacrifice when you have to work for God, right? But it's fine. Well, because he always provides, right?
And then a little bit later, I was blessed with being able to have the second job with Project Echo. So I was still making okay money to at least get my coffee and make my phone calls to my kids. Yeah.
That's good, right? Well, because phone calls like get expensive, no?
That's where most of my money went. I had enough for hygiene, coffee, and my phone calls.
Your phone
That's what I lived on for 3 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? It becomes very it's like a vicious cycle of like, what can I afford? No?
Yeah, that and like,
yeah.
I don't know how everybody was doing that food, but I couldn't. My stomach was, man, I hadn't weighed as little as I was when I got out of prison. I hadn't weighed that much since I was like 12 or 13. I was so little when I got out because of how malnourished I was. My
I
skin was
know.
all wrinkly. My sister said I looked 50 when I got out because my skin was all wrinkly because I was little.
Yeah, because you it's like you don't want to. I didn't eat. I remember I used to eat like rice and beans, literally like a bag. And then I was always on a health kick, trying to diet. I remember I used to get that little city cow thing, and I would eat a little cup of rice or a little cup of beans, and that was like one portion. And
Yeah.
I would starve. I was always starving. I'm always starving now. Even like now, I'm always starving. But it's because when I was locked up, I didn't eat. Because I would not eat in the chow hall. Like sometimes some things I would go to, but
if there was something good, like decent enough, yeah.
I can't do it. My stomach, because my stomach has been delicate for years. I can't like if I eat that food, I'll probably die. No, just
For
you
real.
know.
It was rough.
I'm
So-
all and you know, over there sometimes the cooks there wouldn't wash the potatoes, and I'm like, how do you not wash the potatoes? I don't know. I don't understand. I don't.
Do you remember what
When they do the beans, some lady cracked her tooth on the beans. I was always really afraid for some shit like that to happen to me. Like, oh
Do you
my God.
remember how they changed the menu though? And why they changed the menu?
Why? Do you know why? Tell us. All you have insider trading secrets. No, I'm just kidding.
We had real fruit like the first couple of weeks that we were there.
I remember.
Apples, bananas, oranges, and right away the girls got busted with hooch and they put us on applesauce.
I remember. I forgot about that. Because the girls were making hooch and it was getting caught up. That didn't stop them. That didn't stop them though.
No more fruits and unleavened bread, no yeast. And that thing that was hard as a rock, you could throw a muffin through the door.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Rough.
Hey, I used to live in unit. Well, when I moved out of unit 1, I moved into unit 4. And that unit was one of the worst units when I moved in there. That's why they moved me in there. And they used to get raided every day. And one week, they got raided twice in 1 week for making hooch. And I'm like, and that's why they took away the Snuggles bottles. Do you remember we used to get, actually when we were locked up, like we would get watch, hold on, I don't have a Snuggles bottle.
Was it Snuggles or Downy?
I think it was Downy. You're right.
Yeah, I think it was Downy.
It was Downy. I'm all calling it Snuggles, but it was a bottle like a little bit bigger than this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the old school one, like an old school Downy bottle. Mm-hmm. And we would have to pay like $10 for it, Ambrosia. It was expensive, remember?
Can you see this? Look at me when I first got out.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you're thin. You are thin. Because you're very tall.
I look so gross.
Yeah, tall. It's kind of like even malnutrition. We were like, you know, my nails, like I didn't notice, but even now, and it's been 3 years since I've been out, I have a indentation on my nails that just is like, I don't know if it's going to be permanent or like, and I take a specific vitamin for my nails because my hair and my nails and the indent there, it just, this middle nail just breaks. Well, because I'm always doing my jewelry.
You got to do some of this, so it's okay.
Oh, yeah, maybe I need to do some acrylic. Well, because I can't get it to grow. I'm not even kidding. It breaks all the time. It just breaks and breaks. Maybe I should try some gel. But
my hair was so damaged. I had to chop it all off.
All the things that we have to like come out and well, because we don't have scissors in there. We don't have, hey, and I cut my hair a few times with the nail clippers. But I feel like, does that damage your hair? Does it split it more? Like, you don't know.
Mine was completely broken.
You don't really know about all that stuff, you know. But the Downy bottles, I was gonna say they took them away because that at that time that girl Breezy, her name was Breezy. She was making hooch. It was her birthday. It was gonna be her birthday, and they were planning to get faded. And I was like, first of all, well, because they were youngsters, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, first of all, if you decide to make hooch, please don't hide it in front of. No, I'm just kidding. Well, because there was someone who told on it. You know what I mean? And I
every time
someone's like, but they're just trying to get drunk for their birthday. Who cares? Like, if you're just telling to tell, who cares? Like, that's embarrassing. You know, like, if I see something, I try to just like, as long as they don't involve me, you know what I mean? I'm trying to look the other way.
So did you catch wind of whenever they were trying to take away my good time at the end of my sentence?
No.
And why?
For what?
So check this out. After I got done with RDAP, do you remember Lady E? She was working maintenance or something like that with somebody, and she was like able to like reach whoever the units managers or whatever were able to like get me back in unit 10. Oh, Angelica was so mad at me for leaving her. But I went back to unit 10 and I was going to go back to start working again, finish my time at the chapel. Mr. Molina had accused me of being inappropriate with the chaplain, with Chaplain Bob. And yes,
you?
Me.
I know, Cindy. I want to ask you about that. Well, because I feel like maybe you know some inside secrets from the chapel. And
that's the thing. No, you know what? Chap followed every rule that they told him. And when they said you aren't allowed to be alone with a female, like right away, they told him that. And that's why I was always in that room with him. Because when he would do consultations with women, when they were in there, you know, pouring themselves out to him, he wanted the assurity that somebody else was in there for witness or whatever. And I never saw Chap do anything inappropriate with anybody, but she had a crush on him.
What's her name? Cindy Hendy, right?
Yes.
Hey, she used to buy him. Well, I know because I seen this with my own eyes. She got a package every year. Cindy Hendy got a package. She was very well taken care of. I don't know who took care of her, but she would get money, okay? Cindy Hendy, I don't know if she had, like, because I don't know her business or whatever, but she was very well taken care of.
It was her mom.
A package for Christmas every quarterly.
It was her mom. Her mom took really good care of her.
And she would give half of that package to Pastor Bob, to him, saying, and I heard her saying this one time, because an inmate was confronting her and I just happened to be there. They were and she was all, his wife doesn't even feed him. You guys don't know how his wife treats him. So I have to buy him food, or like, she was trying to like justify her giving the package, because I was like, that's weird. I was well, because I think that's probably why he got in trouble, because of that. Do you know what I mean? Her weird
That's behavior. Not why he got in trouble.
Oh, wow. Well, because I don't know. All I know.
You talking about why he got, were you talking about why he got fired?
Oh, I didn't even know he got fired.
Yeah, he didn't, when we were there, he didn't really get into too much trouble, but let me tell you, he got in trouble with me because remember that thing that happened with my daughter? So
Yeah.
one of my other daughters finally turned it in to CYFD in Albuquerque, and I had received something from them. And so CHAP was there to make emergency calls. I considered that an emergency call. I had 72 hours to find somewhere for my daughter to go so she didn't go into foster care. And I asked him to make a call to my family to try and find somewhere for my daughter to go because her dad was molesting her. And so he was dialing the numbers for me. And then Mr. Molina told the female warden, we went through like 4 wardens, the one that's still currently there. They pulled me into the warden's office and asked me what that was about. And I told him, and so he didn't get in trouble. But like a week later, Mr. Biddle wrote me up because Carolyn Evans from the Isaiah Ladies Prison Ministry had sent a CD. You know how I was always doing the praise and worship music and doing stage equipment for everything. I always ran that. She sent a praise and worship CD with the songs that the women had requested from her, along with a paper with the names.
What is that?
Along with the paper with the names of the songs, but my name was on that paper. And so they wrote me up a major write-up for accepting contraband into using the chapel to accept contraband into the prison.
Trying to get praise and worship CD into
and
prison.
Carolyn had to go on a phone call at my hearing for that major write-up. CHAP showed up for me, and Carolyn was on the call and said, please don't take her good time away from her. It's not her fault. It's my fault. If I have to get banned from coming back into the prisons to take the responsibility, I will. And they dropped it.
Wow.
And from that point on, Mr. Lucero, my caseworker, because I was so close to the door, I had like 2 months left. He said, don't go back to that chapel. Cover your own ass.
What happens? Let me tell you, that's what happens is whenever you're doing good, or like if for some reason, any reason, why did Mr. Biddle and Mr. Molina not like you? Why? You were a good role model inmate. You went and helped start the kitchen. You started a lot of shit in the chapel. I mean, a lot of the stuff that Brad had left behind, you kept going. You and Angelica, if it wouldn't been for you guys, that stuff would have been to the wayside.
I took over Chaplain's Corner for her and everything. Like, she asked me to do that before she left.
You also helped keep CHAP safe from a lot of, because that prison is a place where it's the worst of the worst, friend. Like, it's people who are preying on people. So you can't tell me that we're not people preying on CHAP, because I know. Do you know what I mean? So I'm grateful that you were there in that position and you were able to help him, and you know what I mean? But I think that they seen you as a threat, and because why would they do that? That's insane. And you know that's weird, because Mr. Biddle had my back on a lot of things. When I came as an aerobics instructor, and he gave me that pay. And a lot of people were like, how did you get that pay, Rhiannon? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't ask them for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't go and be like, hey, man, I'm coming to committee and I want 50 cents, da-da-da-da. No, they give you what they want. And if it's whatever, you know what I mean? Because most people's starting pay, it does not start out 50 cents. It starts 20, 30, little bit. And then it moves up. Yeah. So, like, people hated on me on my pay right away for that, you know? But, like, I feel like us people who came from the other prison and started, you guys literally started everything at Springer. Like, how could they not? I don't understand that. And I was very close with Molina. I seen Molina in a different, like, he's very funny. He's very nerdy. I know Molina because I worked for him personally. they didn't want to give me a job after some stuff happened in the gym with Mr. Marcus. I feel like they were trying to blackball me, right, from the prison. That's what happens if you get a write-up or something happens, or even if they think you're doing something, even if I was friends. What happened was I was friends with a girl named China. I don't know if you remember her. And China was a validated syndicate member, okay? There are no female girls that are validated, but she is, because she has tattoos and she comes from Albuquerque. So in the STIG gang book, like that's the book that they have for prison females, she is a validated syndicate member. So when she comes into the prison, she carries that tag with her, right? So she was getting ready to leave. And me and her became friends. That's what happens when you meet people. You become friends with them. They were telling me, oh, Rhiannon, are you trying to... They said that she was trying to take me under her wing to leave... How did they say it? Like, in other words, she was mentoring me. And I'm like, they rated me every day for a week because she was doing stuff and they thought and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, you're just because you're friends with somebody, like, I didn't stop being friends with her, but I knew what the consequence of being her friend was. Do you know what I mean? Because that comes along with sometimes people like us, because I know you're like me. You're friends with a lot of people, even if they're like, if they need help or they need guidance or they need God or whatever, you're not going to turn them away because they're in a bad place in their life. And that's how I am also. Like, I feel like I put myself in situations to help people sometimes, and then I end up getting the shit under the stick. You know what I mean? And I know that you're like that also because you're very kind and caring. But I think that that's very interesting, all that stuff about the chapel, because you don't see a lot of that stuff, and you guys, there was a lot of, I feel like, I don't want to say animosity, but I feel like maybe that might be the right word to use, because you guys took over that program and there was animosity towards you guys.
So do you remember this program? Look at what I got. I started the ordained ministry with Pat and Grace from CCA. Got them involved at Springer, connected with Chaplain Bob, and got the ordained ministry program put into Springer. And I was the first one to be able to come out and get my certification from there.
That's amazing.
And still I was a bad influence. Even Mr. Molina laughed in I knew that I had a write-up before I actually received the write-up.
Why are they able to do that, friend?
Molina threw it in my face. He's like, what you think about them write-up? You're going to be with us longer? And I was like, what write-ups? What do you mean? Oh, you have Mr. Biddle didn't tell you yet? Oh, I guess you'll find out later. Laughing at me. And I was
dude, like, and I just got the chills because he's very like, I feel like they're calculating. I feel like if they want to get somebody, they're going to get them. I don't care how they do it. If they try to falsify evidence, whatever they do, I feel like that is so messed up. You
know what I think saved me is Captain Gonzalez was on my side always. Like, anytime something would happen with Chap or whatever, because Captain Gonzalez and Chap bumped heads with each other. And I would go and I would talk to Captain, and I would be upfront and honest with him. And I'd be like, look, this is what happened. You want to know the truth. This is how things went down. This is what's going on, you know? And I would always come and tell him so that he wouldn't be sitting here trying to listen to everybody else's gossip about him, even though like he just had this thing for him. And then like the other thing is, what's the head guy from STIU? What was his name?
Okay, so there's Chris Wall, the little short
one. The short guy. Yeah, him.
Chris Wall, yeah.
And he was always, he would come up, you know how he would kind of be trying to be slick and try and get somebody to dry snitch or something, and he'd be like, just throw something in there and see what your response was. He would do that with me sometimes, and I would just be like, you know, I don't know what you want from me. I mind my business. I'm in the church. Well, what's going on at the church? Like, you know, and I'm like, nothing. Like, praise and worship. You want to come in and join us? Like, I can put the song up on the screen for you or whatever, you know, but I had it good with those two enough to where I feel like that may have saved me a little bit whenever I got those write-ups. I think Captain Gonzalez talked to Biddle and Molina. But I don't know. And maybe Lucero said something to the warden, because how many times can you pick on somebody? And I had a legit reason every time for whatever happened. Like, Chap wasn't just giving me phone calls, bro. My daughter was in distress, you know? Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
That's really crazy, because I feel like, how did they even justify that write-up? Because the Chap gave that. If there was an emergency, that was known on the whole compound. If you could not call home and you didn't have phone time, you could go request a phone call from the chaplain, and he would give it to you right there and then. If he could, he would give it to you right there and then. He wouldn't make you wait. A lot of times, a lot of people, like, they're like, put in a request, da da da. If you would go and tell him, hey, my family's having a problem, he would give you the phone call right then and there.
He still got punished for it. He got punished still for giving me those calls. Even though I didn't get a write-up and I didn't get in trouble, they blocked his phone to where he would have to call into the main office and have them dial him out.
That's so crazy, man. Like, I don't know. I think, and then, like, he was a volunteer, dude. He wasn't getting paid to do all that shit. He was
a volunteer for the first 4 years of the men's. He did start getting paid on staff, which is what led him to not being there now anymore, because he went to a meeting a couple of years back and he left his phone in his pocket whenever he went through security to that meeting at the main prison. So they took his phone. They didn't let him go back to his car and put it in his car. They took his phone and went through his phone, and they found my number and 3 other women's numbers from the church, which is, you know, I'm not going to say their names, but they were part of the church as well, who are I'm still in contact with him only specifically for tithing purposes. And he got fired for that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Or I don't know if it's fired or if they just made him retire, whichever way. Maybe they just made him retire, but he didn't get to go back after that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was time anyways.
It feels like when you're doing something right and good, they just like attack you. You know what I mean? And
it's the way you see it, I guess. I don't feel like it was inappropriate at the moment, because Miss Becky got sick with COVID and she had some serious stuff going on with her lungs. So she needed him home anyways. And he was supposed to retire like 2 months after I left. So I just told him, like, I think that this is God's, you know, God telling you it's time to just let it go. But I just felt bad because, and I know the reason why he didn't retire when he was supposed to was because they couldn't find a replacement chaplain. And to this day, I don't know I think they just barely got one a couple of months ago, but they were without for a long time.
I can't remember the chaplain's name. Well, because I applied to go back in, and I only assume, I don't know why they didn't. Well, you know what I mean. They approved. And you know what? Out of the whole group that I think Bonnie's the only person that got approved. Because Wendy Martin tried to put in my friend Ashley that's working at the welfare, but I'm not positive that she sent her thing back.
I know Renee and Stacy go in.
Jewel, Brat was supposed to go, but Renee didn't. She didn't make it that day for the wings. I'm not too sure. She might have had something to do. But
I know that she does go in though for the for her program, and then Stacy Burleson with Women in Leadership, she goes in too.
I think that that's cool. I think that that's important. I strive to I want to go back in because I think that it's important for them to see us, to see that we've made it, that we're being successful, that we can be positive, like a positive impact in the New Mexico's recidivism rate. That we are that is who we are. Do you know what I mean? And they need to see that. They need to see us every day. We're just like them. we came from Orange just like them. And I think that's why it's important for us to go back in and for us to be present in those type of things. How do you feel? Well, because somebody that's very close to me was asking me, like, why would you even want to go back into the prisons? And I'm like, well, first of all, because I want to show all them guards that told me that I was going to come right back through the door, that I made it, first of all, and I never came back. Second of all, I think that it's important for them to see people like us that are out here making it, because we represent that small percentage that are out here doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that that's very important. To me it is anyways,
Yeah, Project Echo has, it just specifically for the 40-hour trainings and stuff, but returning citizens going in there, Carissa McGee goes in there because she's the boss, and then Eartha Hodge was one of our.
I think that's the girl. Carissa McGee is the one I'm talking about. Or no, I don't think that's it. I don't think it's her. Eartha Hodge. I know
Eartha Hodge. She just got promoted as a FTE. She's now our program coordinator, and she's going to start going back into the prisons for the 40-hour trainings. She did 22 years, so she's going to have a pretty heavy impact. Yeah.
Hey, so, Miss Eartha ain't no joke. Miss Eartha's like, Miss Eartha's about that life. Almost, she's, you know what I mean? Like,
she's different now.
She did 22 years, like you said. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She's I'm like, she's as G as they get. No,
she's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a peer support worker for the last 2 years has really softened her up a little bit.
Well, I always thought Miss Eartha was a great inspiration. I feel like she has a lot to give. You know what I mean? But being locked up for that amount of time, it made her like a little bit cold, and it does. I feel like my aunt was like that a lot too. My aunt, she would lock herself. I would go visit my aunt. My aunt lived in A unit when I was and I feel like it was like a little bit of a blessing because she was my family, dude. I used to be having hard times, and I would go to A unit because I worked in education, and I would put my hand like this, and the lady guard, she would open the door because they know me. They know that that's my aunt, and they would be all, oh, you're going to check on your aunt, and I'd be all, yeah, or because I don't really know. I'm just trying to get in there, right? And they open the door, and everybody's like, oh, what are you doing in here? My aunt would be watching the TV through the door. Like, she wouldn't come out of her room because she was so antisocial. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, people don't realize the fact that it being incarcerated for 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9 years. I did 9. Miss Eartha did 22 years.
I thought I was going to die doing 3.
It's a testament to how strong women are, and how, like, do you know what I mean? That we don't come out crazy, that we don't come out like really criminally insane. We go through, look at the stuff that you went through. Like, I never knew about that right up. I felt like, to be honest, I was targeted a lot over there at Springer because I came forward about some stuff. They took my job. They not only did they like do everything opposite what they were supposed to do, they retaliated against me. And I think that is something that's like, people need to be aware of that also, you know what I mean? Because things like that happen. But all that stuff made me stronger. It made me a better person. It made me realize that when the chips are stacked against you, you work harder. You know what I mean? And I learned, I think that
the training ground.
Exactly. I learned
the way that I was seeing it, because you're reading the word, and you're going from one book to a next, especially in the Old Testament, and every story has the same basic outline, right? That the people of God rebelled against him, so he put them into some type of captivity where they had to learn their lesson and then repent and come back to God, and then he blessed them, right?
Yeah, see, and I think when I was locked up, I became really close with God. My last 3 years, like, I walked with him so very strongly. I used to be at the chapel all the time. I would go and say my rosary. Like I had my own like prayer routine schedule. I think even more than I do now, which is I need to start getting back on that routine because I feel like I'm so close with God sometimes. I was driving through here through town and I was like, gosh, this I really love my town. I love where I'm at right now, the community that I'm in, my gym, the people have been more supportive than my own family, you know. And he was telling me that everything that I went through was like training work to get to the fights that I'm gonna have to do for him now. Do you know what I mean? The battles that are gonna be created for me now. It's all been training ground. That's what it was. For me, I would not be as strong as I am today if I hadn't gone to prison and gone through the things that I went through. Like now, if
I
I
would have
see
probably died or been back in prison for sure with especially what I went through. And that's what I was coming to, you know, like the for this, you know, part 2 is when you're like upon release, when you're getting so close to the door and you're feeling all this pressure, right? But you also have like in your mind, you have so much time in there that you have already kind of set expectations on what you are thinking it's going to be like when you get out, which is usually the setup for failure. Even me, like I was like, oh, you know, God promised this and that, and I'm expecting this and that. And I get out and like my kids are distant and they're grown now, and you know, like just all kinds of, you know, it was completely opposite of what I thought it was going to be. Took me good like 3 months. I was having like problems even going in Walmart because or being around my kids because I was in that single cell unit for so long that my kids screaming in my ear and running around, and I'd have to go outside and just because I was freaking. I had so bad anxiety about loud noise because of how in depth I was in that quiet, you know, by myself so much whenever I got, you know, when I came back. And I just feel like it might be different story for everybody that gets out at the time that they get out, like in their expectations versus what they were doing. But at the end of the day, like I feel like that's the cause of that 90% recidivism rate, is because their expectancies when they get home doesn't meet that standard right away. And so they just kind of like are like, okay, well, it was better in there, or it was easier in there, or people were better off without me whenever I was gone, or you know, the devil playing tricks on our mind, right? And that's what causes them to go back, or the requirements of probation or parole. This is too hard because you didn't have to do anything in there, you know, all these different things. So, and that's why I think I have such a passion in my job and my line of work, or even just volunteering still, because I just feel like I feel bad. I feel so much empathy now that I was in there. And you know what's crazy, Rhiannon, is the other thing is that in July of 2021, I had to watch first. My fiance was locked up with me for 5 years. He was locked up, and then he got sentenced on a mandatory minimum of 15 years. 2 months later, my mom went through 3 surgeries and died of cirrhosis of the liver. All of her kidneys shut down. I watched her die. Then about 11 months later, my sister ran herself over. She was jumping a vehicle, and the vehicle popped into gear and ran her over, drug her 200 feet. And it was on camera, so I had to watch my sister die. And then 5 weeks later, my stepdad died of high toxic methamphetamines overdose, gave him heart failure. And so in a 1-year period, I lost my entire adult family. Like all I have is my brother and my kids left. And I think that if I wouldn't have been in prison as long as I was and had that foundation that I had, that would have took me out. Because and on top of that, I got COVID and got sick. I got pneumonia and I almost died in between that. So I'm still on oxygen and everything because it almost took me out. And so like it's been rough, you know, since I've been out, but glory be to God. Every heartbeat, every breath that I take, I'm just praising and thanking him that I'm still here to do his work and try and help people that are going through the same thing that I know that I feel, that whenever I look back and I see like that would have took me out. Praise God that I went to prison and he gave me his strength to rely on when that happened, because I'd have drowned myself in alcohol and I'd probably either be dead or back in prison.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. I'm all I feel very like inspired by you and just the person that you are, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people, they don't know the real Ambrosia. People don't know, they may think they know you or whatever, but people don't know the real you, the kind really person that you are. And I'm very glad that I know you, you know what I mean? That I know who you are, and I'm so grateful for you coming on and sharing. I feel like that was good insider stuff in the chapel. Well, because we haven't never talked about the chapel. We haven't even there's a lot of stuff that we haven't touched on, you know. I think that there was a lot in Springer. There was a lot of what is it called, like little cliques. If you weren't in a little clique in education, and I wouldn't speak personally on this on myself, because I I wrote a program for the fitness. I'm the one who brought the steps in, the 25 steps, the 25 yoga mats. I am the one who started the fitness program at the Springer facility.
With Rhonda, right?
Yeah, me,
Yeah.
Rhonda, and Esty. It was actually, it wasn't Esty.
Rhonda?
It was Alma. It was Alma. Rhonda's doing really good. She's working training horses. I'm so proud of her. She was gonna pick up Hay and Belen one time. I was gonna meet up with her, but she never landed up coming through to like call me or whatever. But she's
cool.
doing really good. And there was a girl named Alma. She was a Hispanic girl. There was 3 of us, and we started the fitness program. Okay, and
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, they went off and they went to RDAP. Alma went to IOP and Rhonda went to RDAP, and I stayed doing the fitness stuff for like 3 years. I was the only one. I was the only aerobics instructor. I trained Brianna Keck, the one who stayed after me, because I wanted a program to thrive. And I picked Bri because Bri had 9 years. And I picked her specifically because I knew that she could do it and that she would be able to like keep it up, you know what I mean? And she did. I was so proud of her. Well, because I feel like something that's very important when you're a leader is helping create other leaders, helping raise up other leaders. Like, I'm not that kind of leader that's like just wants followers, because there's 2 types of leaders in this world. And I'm sure everybody would agree. There's one leader who wants followers, and those followers can never surpass the leader. They cannot even get to where the leader's at. They're like just below. And I'm not that kind of a leader. I'm the kind of leader that's always going to raise up other leaders. And I feel like my fitness journey, I learned all that when I was incarcerated. I learned how to be disciplined. I used to take a lot of anxiety medication. I abused it a lot because my mom taught me how to fraud prescription narcotics. Why wouldn't I abuse it? That's what she taught us how to do, right? So I would take, at first I was just selling it, and then I started abusing it. Well, when you're locked up, they don't give you anxiety medication. They don't give you that. So I use the tools that I learned through working out to be able to control my anxiety, my panic attacks, like things that I suffered from personally, and then being able to help others. I know that a lot of people, like there was this really cool girl named Katie Smith. She came on and she says, oh, I remember I used to go to your workouts and you used to help us in the mornings, because I always used to try to be positive in the morning when you're doing a workout and be uplifting. And, you know, I hate when people go and they're like, oh my gosh, we got to go do this workout. Or I always act like I have Superman energy when I'm up there instructing, because I want my people to be like that, you know. And I think that's one of the best things, to be able to give back and never receive nothing. I did a lot of fitness competitions, and I helped this girl lose like like 22 pounds one time. And I remember she was on the scale and her name was Kayla. And she got on the scale and she goes, I just want to get under 200. That's all I want. She goes like that. And I said, you could do it. I said, because when I start my fitness competition, I ask, well, why are you doing this? Like some people, are you doing this? Some people are like, they just want attention, whatever. But a lot of people are doing it for underlying reasons. They have had weight issues all their life, or, you know, and those are the ones that I'm trying to really connect with and bring out the issues so that they can resolve them and move forward. Because food becomes, food is like another addiction, you know what I mean? And people abuse that and mask it and whatever it becomes, and they don't even know that sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
So when I was doing my fitness journey, I met that girl, and she got on my scale, and I'll never forget the look on her face. The scale went to 199, and she was like she couldn't, and I was like, wait a minute, get back on there. I told her, because I knew what it was, right? And she was all, oh my gosh. And I told her, I told you could do it. And something like that is like more money, more rewarding to me than like any money in the whole world. You know what I mean?
It's a form of giving back is what it is.
Yeah.
It's holistic health. It's holistic health. Like you have your spiritual side of things, you have like your emotional side of things, you know, your holistic health, and like come full circle, like that physical, like, you know, working out. I noticed whenever I wouldn't work out versus whenever I would, and most of the time I was walking, but like when I wouldn't, it was like I was balled up, more stress. You know, it's also releasing hormones, endorphins, things like that, and stress relief, right? Even now that I'm out, like I have to keep doing that with my physical for that holistic health. But for like you within yourself, for that person, it's like when you see that were able to plant a seed, no matter what it is, and encourage and motivate and help support somebody to do something, strive towards their goal in one way or another, it gives you something inside of yourself that you just can't get any other way. Like to be proud, like I did that, she did that, and I'm proud of her, like your baby almost, you know? So yeah, and like even like with the chapel, you know, stuff like that, like I feel like the chapel was targeted specifically because one, it was so far away from the guards, and they couldn't afford more staff, more guards for one to be at the chapel.
Yeah.
And two, there was no cameras in there. And so like, and because Chap was older and like didn't catch on the sneaky stuff, there was, you know, times where I remember there was Bibles that came in with Suboxone strips in it that they had to ban from him directly getting them, but from them being able to search them first. There was you know, we had that movie night at first, the same schedule with the chapel that the men had, until the women were making it date night, you know, inside the chapel.
I know.
And so that got taken away from us, you know, just all kinds of stuff. Like I could think
they ruined so many things. Like, you know what I mean? We have so many things, but like the fruit, okay, the situation with the fruit, we would have had it good. Like if they would have just decided, okay, we're not going to make hooch, whatever. No, but they still made hooch, you know, like
yeah.
It's really crazy. The date night things, they're going to do it anyways, because even if they don't meet there, they're going to meet at church on Sundays. That's like, this was something that really bothered me. And sometimes I think in the beginning it kept me away from going to church, because like when you're locked down and there's no way to get to anybody, girlfriends meet at church. Like they go, and I feel like they use God to like, and I don't know. I'm just like, really, it bothers me. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'm all,
the crazy thing about that specific facility for me was that I felt like the chapel was the lair of the enemy. Like, I literally feel like there was more division there. The pod porters, you know, you were talking about cliques. Everybody thought that the chapel porters were one clique. Do you know how bad they fought?
Oh, I
Do
know.
you know how much drama was in that church?
I was gonna ask you, did you get along with Amy?
I got along with her as an acquaintance.
I love your reaction, friend. That was great. Oh my gosh, you're so cute. Well, no, because I know another side of her. Do you know what I mean? Because I lived with her, and she's like, I don't know, she's like a vindictive person, dude. Like, I don't know, but like with friends like that, who needs enemies? You know what I mean?
It was Chap, though. That's the thing, is that he would purposely hire the ones that he knew needed God the most. Myself included. I really feel like that's why he had me in there, because
it makes sense.
I was such a crybaby and I was going through it so bad. And I was fighting off my anger, and I was, you know, and I would go in there and I would be like, and this happened, and that, and this person, and he's like, so what do we do? You know, like, make me answer my own question. What does the Bible say about this? You know, like, really? That's your answer?
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. I loved him. I loved the chaplain. He was somebody that was a perfect fit for the women. He could like roll with the punches. One of my favorite things was when they had donut day. Do you remember we used to go help? And I remember I worked one of the first donut days they ever had. I used to work the donut days. Well, because I was a gym porter, so we get to be there, and like, I feel like it's easier though because you don't got to get in the lines. You know what I mean? It's so hard when everybody got to shuffle into the gym, shuffle out of the gym.
That's whenever me and you would work together, is whenever we would have any kind of
function.
Yeah, it was the Donuts Day. It was the Wings for Life. All those things, because you were working in the gym and I was doing the equipment. So I would always have to come and set up all the equipment from the chapel. I remember
I would like for us to get together a group of people that would do sign and dance, to go and dance at the prison. Like us coming out from the outside, going in and doing, like, we're inmates and we have, like, you know what I mean? Like, have a little group of people who would go perform. Like, we're a performing team.
It's been so long since I've done sign and dance. There's only 2 songs that I might be able to listen to and refresh myself: Redeemed and Tell Him from Lauryn Hill. Lady E taught me that one in RDAP, and it just stuck with me.
I love Lady E. Lady E, she's such an alive person, you know, like, she's so, I don't know, you could just see Lady E out in the streets acting crazy, you know, and then she's in there, like, she became
always had me back. She always did.
She blossomed into like this flower, you know. I always liked Lady E. She was cool. She was a cool cat. You meet a whole different walk of people when you're in there. You know what I mean? And there's the good and there's the bad, and the bad always mix in. But you know what I mean? I feel like for the most part, I feel like I'm very grateful to have been able to reconnect with you. I'm hoping that whenever you come to Albuquerque, we can get together and have lunch. And, you know,
I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh, really?
I'm going to be there for 3 days, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, for that Meta Echo conference.
Well, let's get together. How come? Can I go? No, just kidding.
It's expensive if you don't work in the Echo. I think it's like $200 to get in the door.
Oh, man.
Because it's like doctors that are affiliated with Project Echo from all around the world coming into Albuquerque for 5 days. I'll only be there for 3, but it started today.
Oh wow! Well, we could get together if you want. Let me know. We'll go. Well, I'm gonna be in Albuquerque tomorrow, so we can get together in the afternoon if you like. Well, because I have to go pick up my jewelry. I have a job interview at lunchtime, and then I'm gonna pick up my jewelry at the Fine Arts Building in Albuquerque, and then after that, I'm pretty much free if you wanna like hang out or whatever.
I'll hit you up for sure.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, that well, just we could catch up just to see each other, take a picture. Nina is gonna be here at the end of the week also, so I'm planning to do. We were planning to have like a get together at my friend Jules' house, but Jules hasn't got back to me with all the info. Well, because we were I think it's Cassandra's information that I needed, friend. That's the one that you need, that I was asking for. That's the one that it's not the other one that I gave you. So but
no,
we'll
that is what you gave me, I think.
Yeah, is it?
Mm-hmm.
What was the lady you said that's working with Miss Eartha?
Carissa's my boss, Carissa McGee.
That one. That's the one that I need to get a hold of.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have any information for me, and I'm trying to get her to be a guest.
Okay.
Okay, friend. Thank you so much. I feel like this was great. You can come on anytime. Well, because I want someone to come on a regular basis to talk about different subjects, or like Springer. Like the next thing, maybe we could talk about. I always want to talk about the food and like holidays, or even like commissary. Like how the changes could have been made in different things in commissary, or even how it was run. Some of the times how we didn't get our commissary because it was coming from out of town or whatever. There's just like different things.
We can also talk about how Frozen Unit 10 got and how it flooded like Noah's Ark, and we ended up in the freaking gem for 2 weeks. How about that? When we froze to death.
Oh, let's definitely talk about that. I would love to talk about that. Well, because I remember I was in 9, and listen to me. I lived with you. Remember, I had just moved, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had just dodged that bullet. I would have been living in the gym with you guys on the floor. That was hard. I remember when you guys were living in the gym. Yeah. How many days did you guys live in there?
We were in there for like 2 weeks, I swear.
That was horrible. I remember we were going into work. We were going into work and just like cleaning, because I work in the gym. I'm the aerobics instructor, so I don't gotta clean. But I remember that we were offering you guys if you needed help or whatever, like, because you guys were just like stuck in there. There's nowhere to go. You guys are living in the gym on the floor with your mat and your stuff. Like that's really crazy. Yeah, that'll be a good topic also. Thank you so much, friend. And you let me know if you want to get together tomorrow or sometime this week. I'm down. No,
I will.
Thank you, friend. I'm so excited. I'm all excited because I'm going to probably see you.
We'll get together for sure.
Okay, thanks, friend. Signing off from behind bars in the 505. I'm so grateful for everybody that's watched. We had 3 viewers. If anybody had any questions, they would have put them here, but we don't have any. So that's it, friend. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you. Well, because I love what we talked about the chapel.
Yeah.
Bye, friend.
Bye.